Pregame.com.
Sunday afternoon, the New Orleans Saints visit the New York Giants. VR has a bet on this one. And VR, you're usually a Saint fan, but
Yes,
you're going with the Giants on this one.
Yes, I am. And last week I went against the Saints as well. And I don't like to take the heat I take when I go against the Saints. And here's the bottom line. I made my true line based on raw ratings alone. I made the Giants 7. So that's line value to me. But you factor in motivation, and I think you can make this as high as 8, 8.5. And here's why. You look at the Giants, and I hate to use the word must win, but here's a team that's lost 3 of their last 4.
Yeah.
And they
had the division wrapped up.
Exactly. And they now find themselves in must-win situations. You're usually going to pay a premium for those spots, but not against the New Orleans Saints, because the Saints are still a public team. As big of a fan base as the Giants have, let's not forget, they just lost on Monday Night Football. And bettors like to step up and fire on Monday Night Football. That's who they had. They left a bad taste in their mouth. So I don't think anyone's going to be rushing to the window to back them here against the Saints, who have had extra time to prepare.
Right.
One of the Saints fans that we all follow her, that knows this team well, said this team's playing for pride right now. The thing that I think is when a team's playing for pride, like the Saints, they're playing for nothing else.
She likes Les Miles, too, so that's
You're right. But the truth is, they're only playing for pride. And the girl does know her Saints. And the bottom line is this. When a team's playing for pride, you only want to back them when they're at home, and you only want to back them if it's a primetime game. This is neither. Because of that, they're going on the road. This is not a good situation for the Saints. I like the Giants. Forget the advanced metrics. Giants have revenge. They were embarrassed last year at New Orleans on Sunday Night Football in front of a national audience.
49-24.
They're not going to forget that. One of the toughest things to handicap in the NFL and in all sports is turnovers. But if you can handicap turnovers, you could cash a ton of tickets. The data reflects that the correlation between turnovers and ATS and straight up, it all works together. A team that's +1 in turnovers covers 66% of their games, wins 67. +2 in turnovers, they cover 80% of their games, they win 82. +3 in turnovers, you cover 87% of your games, you win almost 90. So I know it's tough to handicap turnovers, but you look at these Saints team, and it's not fumbles, it's interceptions. Yeah. And that's something you can handicap. Fumbles, because they're random. Once they hit the ground, it's anyone's ball. It's 50-50. It's a coin flip. So it's hard to, unless there's running backs that just can't hold on to the ball, you could kind of factor that in. But again, once it hits the ground, it's 50-50. So it's so tough to handicap fumbles. But you can handicap interceptions. And the New Orleans Saints are averaging 1.3 interception point game. The Giants defense averaging 1.5 interceptions per game. That's almost double if you flip it the other way around, what the Giants throw compared to the Saints defense. So for me, I think the Giants win the turnover battle. That's going to bounce right into an ATS winner. I love the Giants in this spot. Sorry, Doll. Giants it is.
Five interceptions in the last game.
7 in the last 2 games. And
exactly.
You guys know, NFL's kind of a copycat league. 49ers stopped, they won 2 weeks ago. They stopped that Saints offense. Last week, Atlanta, they kind of copycatted 5 interceptions, like you said. Yep. So he said 7 in the last 2 games. A lot of people sometimes say, the short week, Giants had a short week.
Yeah, an extra rest, too, for New Orleans.
Right. But the Giants actually, when they play a Monday night and then they go to a Sunday, 5-2 against the number of their last 7 games, coming from a Monday night to a Sunday night. So whatever Coughlin, he's a solid coach. Whatever he does over there, he has.
And they were only in Washington. They weren't in San Francisco.
Yeah. All right, we've talked about it enough. Let's go ahead and make it official.
Saints at Giants. Giants coming off a tough Monday night loss, finding themselves in must-win situations. You look at the Saints after that loss to San Fran. That was their season. We saw them last week against Atlanta. Here's a team that's only playing for pride, and this isn't the best spot to show up when you're playing for pride on the road and a non-primetime game against a team that's in a must-win situation more or less every game from here on out, and has a little revenge on their mind. Defensively, Saints allow 5.1 yards per rushing attempt, 7.9 yards per passing attempt. You could run on them, you could pass on them. Look for the Giants to do both. Cover this number, running away in the second half, running away.
I know VR, when he pulls out those advanced numbers,
Put the kids to
and
bed.
he's going against the Saints.
Put them to bed, like Atlanta last
He
week.
convinced me. I
Good
was neutral on this game going in, but I think he convinced me. Okay, listen, tomorrow's videos, we have Scott, Marco, and Steve Fezzik will be one of our panelists
Special
tomorrow. So it's a special guest, but the reason for that is even better. Brian Leonard is prepping for the cancer contest.
Yeah.
So Brian didn't want to give his plays on air. And he couldn't. But we have Steve Fezzik sitting in. We're also going to talk a lot of college basketball, some NBA basketball, along with a lot of football. So don't miss those videos tomorrow. Ours are certainly much better,
Of course.
but they're going to come close. They're going to come close tomorrow, closer than they usually are. Okay, just a reminder, you can see all our videos at pregame.tv.